The systems we build to protect us, sometimes they fail. It happens. But what if that failure isn't just an accident? What if it's the system itself, turning against the very people it's supposed to help? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a case where the institution sworn to provide care did the exact opposite, and the consequences were, frankly, devastating.
Just let that sink in for a second. This single sentence is the core finding from a massive analysis of police records, housing files, and internal emails. It tells you everything you need to know. This isn't a story about an individual falling through the cracks. It's about someone whose trust in the state was not just broken, it was actively used as a weapon against them.
Okay, so to really get our heads around just how badly things went off the rails here, we have to start with the basics. We need to set a benchmark. What are these institutions legally and morally supposed to do? What is the promise they make to all of us?
At the absolute heart of public service is this simple, powerful principle: a duty of care. And this isn't some nice-to-have idea, a suggestion? Nope. It's a legal obligation written into UK law. It means these institutions must take action to prevent harm, especially when dealing with the most vulnerable among us.
So a proper response, the one that's supposed to happen, follows this really clear logical path. You identify someone at risk, you figure out what they need, especially if they have something like PTSD. Then you actually provide support to make things better. It's designed to protect, not to punish. But in this case, the evidence shows this entire process wasn't just ignored, it was completely inverted. All right, so at the center of all of this is one person, Joseph Janis, a British Army veteran. And understanding who they are, their service, their struggles, well, it's absolutely crucial to grasping the sheer scale of the institutional failures that came next.
Let's be crystal clear. We are not talking about a simple tenancy dispute here. The records show, without a doubt, that the authorities knew exactly who they were dealing with. A vulnerable individual with protected characteristics under the Equality Act. A veteran struggling with diagnosed PTSD. This fact should have been the starting point for support, not a green light for persecution.
So how did it all go so terribly wrong? Well, this is where the paper trail, the documented evidence, shows that safeguarding process being turned completely on its head. Instead of a safety net, the system became a weapon. And just look at this timeline. The speed of the escalation is just terrifying. It starts with a wrongful arrest, and then it just spirals out of control. We see police trying to get into the home based on a so-called gas leak in a building that's all electric. Then a key witness for the defense is detained right before a crucial court hearing, stopping her from testifying. And it all leads to this. Joseph is evicted, made homeless, and loses everything.
So this just begs the question, right? How does the official story, the one the authorities were telling, hold up when you put it side by side with the documented evidence? Did their actions actually match the reality of what was going on? And what you find are two completely different stories. The official line is all about safeguarding the community, based on credible reports. But then you dig into the actual records, the emails, the case notes, and a totally different, much darker picture emerges. One where actions were based on nothing more than unverified hearsay, and Joseph's own documented vulnerabilities were completely ignored.
And this is a bombshell pulled straight from the case chronology. An officer apparently admits on the phone that things weren't as they were claimed to be, but then uses totally different, more damaging language when it actually gets to court. It suggests that information that could have helped prove Joseph's innocence was actively withheld when it mattered most.
And when you look closer, the whole process is just littered with these massive red flags. Critical CCTV that could have proven innocence, never disclosed. The key witness, as we saw, was detained. Joseph wasn't even given the full evidence bundle against them. I mean, these aren't just little mistakes. This points to a complete and total breakdown of due process.
It's so easy to look at this and think, well, that's just one person's terrible story. But it's so much bigger than that. This case really calls into question the integrity of the very institutions that we all, every single one of us, rely on for protection and justice.
The evidence doesn't point to one rogue agency or a few bad apples. It points to a pattern of multi-agency collusion. As you can see here, the police, the housing association, the council, social services, they all seem to have reinforced the same flawed story. Instead of acting as checks and balances on each other, they worked together, creating this web that was basically impossible to escape.
The scale of the harm done is just staggering. And this number, over £1 million, isn't just an abstract figure. It's a financial measure of a life being systematically dismantled. It represents the catastrophic loss of a home, of health, of a reputation, and of basic human dignity.
And so this leaves us with a final, really vital question that goes way beyond this one case. It's a question for all of us, really. If the safety nets put in place by the state can be so easily twisted into weapons, targeting the very people they're meant to protect, then who among us is truly safe?